Was I wrong for what I did? You tell me. The moment I heard those words, if you don't want to go to the nursing home, get a job, shouted at me by my own son, I felt a kind of cold, quiet peace settle over me. He was standing there, red-faced, utterly convinced of his power over me, demanding that I, a man of 65, who had just lost everything, should scramble for minimum wage to satisfy his greed. I simply smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the satisfied, chilling smile of a man who knew a profound truth his tormentor was about to learn. Then, on cue, a tall, impeccably dressed man walked into the room. It was the perfect cue for the curtains to fall on my son's pathetic performance and rise on my final act of absolute revenge. Tell me, if your children treat you like an outdated appliance to be discarded, would you have waited for a less spectacular way to remind them exactly who you are? To understand that moment, you have to know how it came to this. My wife, Elinor, and I spent 40 years building a life centered on hard work and family. I ran a successful, niche contracting business for most of that time, while Elinor managed our home and finances meticulously. We raised 2 children, Marcus, my son, and Sophia, my daughter. Marcus was always ambitious, sometimes ruthlessly so, but I mistook his drive for strength. Sophia was more creative, a beautiful, gentle soul who struggled with consistent employment, bouncing between freelance artistic jobs. I loved them both and made sure they were well provided for. We bought them both their first homes, helped with cars, and most importantly, created a solid, generous estate plan. Everything was set to be divided equally between them, with both inheriting significant chunks of the business and our assets upon my death. But life rarely respects plans. 3 years ago, Elinor was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. The subsequent 2 years were an agonizing, expensive blur of hospital visits, specialized treatments, and deep emotional pain. I scaled back the business dramatically, eventually selling off the most profitable assets to focus entirely on her care. I poured all my energy and much of our liquid savings, the money meant for our lavish retirement and immediate legacy fund, into her treatments, hoping to buy us more time. We used up most of the easily accessible funds, which Marcus quickly became obsessed with. He saw our savings account, the one he had mentally claimed as his early inheritance, dwindling, and his resentment began to fester. When Elinor finally passed away a year ago, I was completely broken. I sold the rest of the business. The remaining assets weren't much, but enough to cover the remaining medical debts and leave me with a small, manageable lump sum and a meager monthly pension. I was a shell of the man I used to be, grieving the loss of my partner and emotionally exhausted from years of caregiving. I was living in the large family home, which was fully paid off, but which required significant upkeep. I was now too tired to manage alone. That's when Marcus started his campaign. He suddenly became very interested in my well-being, but the conversation always circled back to money, and the house, He and his wife, Clara, a woman who measured success purely in square footage and brand names, started pressuring me to sell the house. They claimed it was too big for one person, too much maintenance, and that I needed to downsize to a nice, small apartment. The subtext, of course, was that they wanted me to sell it so I could give them the bulk of the proceeds and then shuffle off into some corner where I wouldn't be a financial burden. Sophia, to her credit, was quiet, but she was also desperate for money and seemed influenced by Marcus and Clara's constant rhetoric about my irresponsibility with the medical costs. They started treating me not like a father who had sacrificed everything for his wife, but like a drain, a liability. The pressure built for months. Marcus would stop by unannounced, bringing Clara, and they would pointedly discuss retirement communities and assisted living facilities in front of me, even though I was perfectly healthy, save for my grief. I kept telling them I wanted to stay in the house. It was where Eleanor and I had built our life, and I felt her presence there. It was my last sanctuary, but Marcus wasn't listening. He wanted the capital. The final confrontation happened 3 weeks ago. Marcus cornered me in the living room, a room filled with 40 years of memories, and presented me with papers for a reverse mortgage on the house. He claimed I needed to access the equity to secure my future and stop being dependent on the small pension. I refused outright. He exploded. That's when he hit me with the line, dripping with entitlement and cold cruelty, asterisk asterisk, if you don't want to go to the nursing home, get a job, asterisk asterisk, I'm not spending my inheritance paying your bills. Clara stood in the doorway, nodding in agreement, a smug look of victory on her face, convinced they had finally broken me. I stood there, looking at my son, the boy I raised, the man I poured my soul into, and realized the depth of his character. He saw me as a wallet, not a father. He wanted me out of the house and out of his life unless I was financially useful. But in that moment, the exhaustion, the grief, and the simmering anger coalesced into a laser, sharp clarity. They thought they had won because they saw me as weak. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Over the last year, while they were busy measuring curtain lengths and counting potential profits, I wasn't just grieving. I was working, quietly, methodically, and absolutely secretly. I knew the moment Eleanor passed that Marcus and Clara would try something. They had shown their true colors many times before, subtly and not so subtly, during Eleanor's illness. I spent the last 12 months executing a plan so complex, so detailed, that David, my lawyer, called it a masterpiece of preemptive defense. The core of their greed was the assumption that my financial standing was based solely on the meager monthly pension and the house equity. But they were wrong. When I sold the business assets 3 years ago, I didn't sell them to an outside competitor. I sold them to a ** holding company **, a completely separate legal entity that I had created and placed under the management of my best friend and former business partner, Walter. Walter ran the core assets, specifically the highly valuable long-term maintenance contracts, which were generating a quiet but massive income. I was technically retired, but I was the sole ** secret owner ** of the holding company. Marcus and Clara had no idea this structure existed. They only saw the public filings for the old, defunct shell company. The only person who knew the truth, besides Walter and my lawyer David, was my daughter, Sophia. She hadn't been actively involved in the financial plotting, but she was the only one who consistently showed genuine compassion for me, even amidst her own financial struggles. I had confided in her, asking her to trust me and be patient. She had been the only one of my children to consistently mourn Eleanor, not the lost money. This trust had earned her a quiet, early gift. 2 months ago, I had legally transferred 10% ownership of the * holding company * into her name, making her a wealthy, silent partner. I wanted to reward her loyalty and secure her future outside of my final plan for Marcus. So that's the situation I was in. My son had just openly demanded I work until I died or be thrown into a state, run home, all while being completely unaware that I secretly controlled a multimillion-dollar company. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let him inherit anything at all? Or would you have followed through with a public lesson that stripped him of his arrogance and entitlement forever? I met Marcus's enraged gaze, his face still red from yelling. Clara stood there, arms crossed, the picture of smug victory. My smile widened, a genuinely peaceful expression, because I knew their entire, self-serving world was about to collapse. "You're absolutely right, Marcus," I said, my voice calm, the utter lack of defensiveness confusing him. "It is entirely unacceptable for me to be an idle burden on society." "Good," he sneered, clearly thinking he'd broken me. "Now sign the reverse mortgage papers and start looking for those security guard openings." I shook my head slowly. "Oh no, we won't be doing a reverse mortgage, Marcus. We'll be doing a *** transfer of ownership ***. Marcus and Clara exchanged excited, predatory glances. "Fine," Marcus said, snatching the papers. "Where do I sign to get this house?" "Not the house," I corrected him gently. "The *** house of cards ***. You see, you and Clara have spent the last year thinking I was a doddering, broke old man who was too stupid to protect the legacy I built. You thought I spent everything on Eleanor, and you both got so focused on this dusty old house that you forgot to look at the *** corporate structure ***. I took a breath. "The truth, Marcus, is that every penny spent on Eleanor was worth it. And the company I founded, the one you thought I sold for pennies, is actually generating an *8-figure annual revenue. It's safe, it's secure, and I'm the ** sole owner ***. The air went dead. Marcus's jaw dropped, and the color drained from Clara's face as she finally understood the magnitude of my statement. They looked like two mannequins whose strings had just been cut. And that's when the door opened. It wasn't just *** man. It was *** Mr. Alistair Rourke ***, the CEO of one of our biggest national competitors, the very competitor Marcus always dreamed of working for. Rourke was tall, imposing, and carried a thick, official briefcase. "Ah, you must be Henry," Rourke said, walking past Marcus as if he were furniture and shaking my hand warmly. "A pleasure. We're ready to proceed with the final closing." Marcus found his voice, a frantic, pathetic squeak. What's going on? Who is he? Dad, what deal?" I put my hand on Rourke's shoulder. "Marcus, this is Mr. Rourke. He's here to finalize the ** acquisition ** of my holding company. The one that's worth slightly north of $50 million ***. I let the number hang in the silence, savoring the look of sheer, agonizing realization on Marcus's face. He knew the significance of Rourke's presence. He knew this was real money, not just house equity. "And here is where you come in, Marcus," I continued, my voice betraying no emotion. "You told me to get a job, right? Well, Mr. Rourke is going to be liquidating some assets after the acquisition is complete. That means they'll be hiring a small, temporary cleanup crew to manage the paperwork and move some equipment from the old warehouse. I spoke to Mr. Rourke this morning, and he agreed that since you have experience with the industry, and since you are financially desperate, he would offer you the position of ** warehouse janitor ** minimum wage, temporary contract. You can start Monday. That should help keep you out of the nursing home, right?" The shock on Daniel's face broke into a contorted mask of pure, ugly rage and disbelief. He screamed, not words, but guttural sounds of loss. Clara, meanwhile, collapsed onto a nearby chair, clutching her head, silently calculating the millions she had just lost. "Rourke, completely unfazed by the family drama, opened his briefcase. I signed the final documents, selling my company for an enormous sum, securing a future of absolute wealth and freedom. I then turned to Marcus, who was still sputtering. "Oh, and one final detail, son. My estate plan has changed. Given your recent display of concern for your mother and me, I've decided to amend the will." I looked over at Sophia, who had just walked in, having heard the commotion but remaining quiet and watchful. She gave me a small, tearful nod. "Sophia will be receiving 100% of my remaining liquid assets, which, after this sale, amounts to the vast majority of my entire estate. And as for you, Marcus, given your generous suggestion that I find employment, I've left you a token of my gratitude. The old, small, non-revenue-generating warehouse property which houses the now defunct shell company you thought was my entire business. You'll have to pay the property taxes on it yourself, of course, or sell it to cover your debt. It's your legacy now." Marcus lunged at me, but Rourke's security detail, whom I had specifically requested be present, stepped forward, blocking him immediately. The police arrived shortly after, called by the resort manager, who had clearly been told about the potential for corporate unrest during the acquisition. Marcus and Clara were escorted out of the house, screaming threats and accusations about being cut off, but the battle was over. They had nothing but the property tax bill for an empty warehouse. The aftermath was exactly what I deserved: peace. I sold the family home immediately. It was tainted by their greed. Sophia, overwhelmed with emotion, used her initial 10% stake and the impending inheritance to start a small, ethical art foundation, finally pursuing her passion without financial fear. She calls and visits me constantly, not for money, but for genuine company. We have rebuilt our relationship on a foundation of honesty and mutual respect. Marcus and Clara, they fought the will, they fought the acquisition, and they fought the divorce that followed when Clara realized he truly was worthless. They lost everything. Marcus is, to my knowledge, still working that warehouse janitorial job, a constant, ironic reminder of the future he tried to force upon me. He truly did lose it all because he never valued anything but the dollar sign. I am not rich in the way the Wainwrights or Rourke are rich, but I am wealthy beyond my needs, and more importantly, I am free. I travel, I volunteer, and I live life on my own terms. I protected Elinor's memory and the legacy of hard work from being soiled by entitlement. Looking back, the money was just the tool. The real reward was that moment of absolute clarity when I smiled at my son and delivered the justice he had so arrogantly demanded I seek. Like this video if you were on my side. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did Marcus deserve every penny, or lack thereof, that he got? I'll see you all in the next story.